The Knicks postgame show is presented by Tri-State Audi. Visit your Tri-State area Audi dealer today. The season opener against Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs. Mitchell had 31, 21 in the third quarter, but only 2 in the fourth quarter. Karl Anthony Towns, a double-double to start the season, 19 and 11. And OG Anunoby with the team up 5, hits a key 3. Anunoby 24 and ties a career high with 14 rebounds as the Knicks win Game 1, beating the Cavs. Final count tonight, 119 to 111. Great to have you with us, Bill Pito, along with a Wally Szczerbiak. The Knicks without Josh Hart, who's out with a bad back. No Mitchell Robinson, not playing because of load management, and yet Mike Brown still played 11 players, and he played 11 players in the first 13 minutes of the game. Definitely a change in approach, at least through one game of the season.
If you want production out of your bench, you have to trust your bench. And it goes both ways, because when you're out there as a bench player, you have to produce. And what I loved about how Mike Brown coached this game is when the game got hairy and got close at the end of the third quarter, it was a 2-point game, he stuck with some guys off the bench. And they rewarded Mike Brown with good play, went on a run with a couple bench guys out there, and that allowed the starters to be rested when it was closing time down the stretch of the game. That's going to pay off monumentally over the course of the season. When you're a player that you get called upon to go into that game and you know the coach trusts you to produce no matter how close the game is, and if the run's going in an opposite direction, that was big time, the way those guys produced for their new coach.
Knicks were up 15 at the half, but it was tied after the third quarter, and here is what we're talking about. Wally's mentioning this fourth quarter run. Tonight's thrilling moment brought to you by FanDuel Casino. Get your thrill on. A 14-0 run to start the final quarter of the game. And the 5 on the court, Wally, McBride, Kolek, Clarkson, Cat, and OG.
Yeah, you have 2 starters out there, so that stabilizes and guys that you can run the offense through. And how about the performance by Deuce McBride? I mean, this is a guy that Coach Brown is going to trust. He was a plus 17 when he was on the floor for 25 minutes. Cat with the shimmy shake, the little Euro step. Impressive move by your 7-footer. And then this is what you do at home. Your bench electrifies the crowd. The bench feeds off the energy of the world's most famous arena. That was a pretty impressive first win against a good Cavalier team. Now, let's not forget, Cavaliers decimated with injuries. No Hunter, no Garland, no Max Strus. Those are 3 high-level starter-type guys that were not in the lineup tonight. Knicks took advantage. They got a good win to start the season.
Off the bench, you mentioned McBride with 15. Landry Shamet had 9. And Tyler Kolek, who was part of that group that went on that 14-0 run, he played very well. Of course, you have the retirement of Malcolm Brogdon. Maybe Kolek is a guy behind Brunson. He was excellent with 7 points off the bench.
Well, you trust him running the team. I mean, he is an outstanding quarterback at the high basketball level. He was an All-American in college at Marquette, led the nation in assists. He was a first-team All-Big East guy. He's a very smart basketball player. He's going to learn the system very quickly. You trust with him having the ball in his hands, and you can tell the coaching staff believes in him. And that's a great sign for him and his career, because the Knicks need a pure point guard to back up Jalen Brunson when he's not out there on the floor. You need someone to organize the offense, get everyone into the right spots, and make plays. And Tyler Kolek, he makes guys around him better. It was an outstanding job of him. And when the lights were brightest in the regular season, to start the regular season.
So we've been talking about the bench. Starters also played well. Mentioned OG Anunoby with 24 and tied a career with 14, and Jalen Brunson at 23 points.
Yeah, Jalen looks quick to me. He really does. He looks fresh.
I think he's lost some weight.
Yeah, I mean, he was flying around the floor. Not banged up like he was all last year, dealing with ankles and all kinds of injuries, but he was moving very briskly, and that was great to see. And that's another benefit of him not having to log major minutes. He's going to be able to really play quicker, play more active, and when he is on the floor, be more aggressive. That's the thing when you trust your backups to come in and make plays and play well and buy you minutes. When you're out there on the floor, you feel to yourself, okay, I can be more aggressive in the 31 minutes that I got tonight compared to 40 minutes. I got to pace myself the way I play on both ends of the floor to make sure I have something left in the tank at the end of the game. Jalen played 34 minutes. I think that's a great number. If Mike Brown can keep the starters' minutes around 35 in today's day and age of NBA basketball, quick the pace is, that's going to pay dividends on the back end of the season in the playoffs.
Now, we've talked a lot, and we talked about in the pregame show how this new system under Mike Brown could benefit Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. Bridges had an excellent game. He had 6 assists to go with 16 points. And as we talked about, Anunoby player of the game. 24 points, tied a career high with 14 rebounds.
And led the team in minutes. You can tell Mike Brown needs him out there on the floor, on both ends of the floor. And OG Anunoby delivered big time. Here's a guy that's as good as they come as far as two-way. Obviously, he's an elite defender. How he didn't make all first team, all defense, I don't know who's voting for that last year, but he's on his way to making it this year. 3 steals and a block and just all over the place defensively. And then the offensive part of his game continues to grow. I mean, he's already an elite offensive player, but it's going to get better. There's so many things that this guy can do offensively out there on the floor, including knocking down the big shot that really iced the game, pushed the lead to 8 in the final minute. That his offensive game, if his coaches continue to open it up and allow him to do more and trust him to have the ball in bigger spots to make plays, there's not a thing that he can't do offensively either, along with his elite defense. And that was a pretty good start to the season for OG, when at the beginning of the day we didn't even know he was going to play. So it was nice to see him out there in the lineup in a Knicks uniform, and what a performance.
OG, a game time decision, of course, ended up playing. Monica McNutt, as always, helped call the game on the radio on ESPN New York. Monica, what'd you think of game number 1?
It's a good start, right? I think you got a lot to be pleased with. Pat and I think in our group chat, we were kind of making notes and observations about the rotation. I was pleased to see, how many deep did Mike Brown go?
11.
I'm pleased to see him go 11 deep, just to get an opportunity to see what guys have to offer. And guys, mind you, this is a solid win without 2 of your key rotation guys. So I think there's a lot to be pleased with, and there's a lot to look at and figure out how you move forward. When we talked to Deuce McBride post-game, he mentioned that third quarter in particular, but he did say that in terms of the buzzword of pace, this was a solid start and a good step in the right direction.
Monica, what was your thought on Huck Porty? I thought he did an outstanding job just doing his job in the middle, matching up against Jared Allen and Mobley. It seems like the Knicks have found someone who can kind of stabilize when Mitchell Robinson can't go and is on a night where he's on load management and can't really put stress on that ankle.
Yeah, Wally, you and I are on the same page. I thought he came in with the right amount of energy. There's a couple times early in the ball game where you could see him crashing the glass, unable to completely corral those rebounds, but then you saw him make the right passes, go from good to great, and just begin to find his rhythm in terms of getting on the glass. He finished the night, with 5 rebounds total, but I thought he was really active and did a good job of not getting in the way. I think sometimes that is an underrated skill, right? Like, you have energy, apply your energy in a way that is a positive and not creating confusion.
Monica, how about the overall balance?
Yeah.
The bench contribution, the distribution of minutes, balance scoring up and down the box score. What do you think of that?
Yeah, you love to see it. Now, look, I think the Knicks understand, and I'm actually going to take a line from Kenny Atkinson pregame. He talked about the regular season each day being an opportunity to improve in order to get ready for the postseason. I think the Knicks are very well aware of that. Guys, we've obviously led our pregame show talking about all the expectations. They get it, and they get it that these opportunities are not to be taken for granted, especially when you're able to go 11 deep minus 2 key rotation guys. And so I think you're beginning to build trust, which is another buzzword we continue to hear throughout the postseason, trusting the process, trusting the system, and trusting one another.